they arrive a little bit late. My name is Dan Davis. I'm a member of the management team at Clipped. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're very excited about showing you Clipped. First, let me tell you a bit about what we do and why we do it. Well, technology has transformed golf into a data-driven sport at every level. There's now so much data in the game. On course, the best players in the world have people following them around the course, tracking every shot. The rest of us have Garmin watches, Arcos-connected grips, or a range of other devices or apps that enable us to get information about the courses we're playing and also to record golf data. Off course, of course, TrackMan and Foresight have transformed the tournament driving range and the lesson tee. And now Top Tracer and others are transforming the driving range at an astonishing rate. This is exactly where cycling was a decade ago before Strava came along. Strava now has just short of 100 million users. Last year alone, there were 1.8 billion activities logged by users on Strava. We've spent a lot of time speaking to professionals, coaches, instructors in the US and in Europe. And we've identified some problems that seem to be common amongst those professionals, in that you've collectively spent a significant amount of time and money on technology, and there remains a challenge in getting the most from it. At Clipped, we have spent thousands of hours talking to instructors like yourselves and teaching professionals to build a solution that will ensure you, the instructor, can get the most out of the technology that you use, and so too can the players who are increasingly using their technology. So we have developed Clipped by working closely with a number of the world's best instructors and players. But what we have designed is for everyone, from the weekend golfer who wants to get better to the tour pro whose livelihood depends on it. So what does Clipped do? Well, put simply, our mission is to help golfers get better faster. How does it work? We pull performance data from a variety of sources, presenting everything in one beautifully designed, user-friendly platform. In doing that, we redefine our understanding of what good looks like for every golfer. We present a personalized plan of action for instructors and players to implement, a roadmap to better golf that's tailored to the individual. And finally, we connect golfers, players with instructors, players with each other through the Clipped community, and in time, through the platform itself. We want golfers to get better because they use Clipped. Our beta users are telling us this is already happening, and Clipped and the numbers within it is confirming this. As more golfers become more engaged with what good looks like for them and what it takes to improve, we believe more of them will want to take lessons. Crucially though, what can Clipped do for you? Well, firstly, Clipped shows all your players' golf activity on course and off course in one platform. Secondly, by opening Clipped, you can immediately understand each of your players, their current skill level, whether or not they're improving via trend lines and intuitive graphics, and what they need to work on to improve. Clipped ensures that you're connected with your players wherever they are. Seeing all their activity and being able to comment on what they're doing or what Clipped tells you about their game deepens your relationship with the player and drives your ability to increase revenues. In creating this connection, Clipped establishes new opportunities for you to build and nurture your business. And when these players and clients and students come to see you on the lesson tee, Clipped empowers you to have an objective conversation with them. And finally, number 5, importantly, and most importantly, Clipped provides the proof to your students that you are improving them. I'm going to hand you over now to my colleague, Charlie Quick, who works in our player and coach relationship team to take you through the platform. Over to you, Charlie.
Thanks, Dan. I'm just going to share my screen so everybody can see the platform itself. Catherine, would you just be able to enable screen sharing for me? It's just saying the host needs to enable it.
Does it work now, Charlie?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hopefully everybody can see my screen. And this is Clipped itself, the platform, in a desktop view. And now before I jump into the platform, I want to first ground everybody in our approach to measuring performance. And now, as Dan says, we've worked in collaboration with an international group of instructors and players over the past 18 months. And something that everybody has agreed is that ultimately the job of the instructor, the job of the coach, is to help their players hit better shots. And so what Clip's new performance metrics are all about is defining the quality of each and every shot that a player hits. That might be a shot hit on the golf course. It might be a shot hit away from the golf course, on the practice range, or even on the putting green. And what Clip does, it looks at the complete context surrounding a shot. And based on the outcome, we can objectively measure the quality of every single shot that a player hits. And that measure we call shot quality, and you'll see shot quality detailed along the right-hand side view here. And we're measuring shot quality on a scale of 0 to 200. 0 at the bottom of that scale is representing the worst possible outcome for a shot. That might be standing on the tee and hitting your ball out of bounds. 200 at the very top of that scale represents the perfect outcome. That might be holding a shot from far down the fairway. It might be standing on the tee and even putting the ball in from there. And 100 at the center of that scale represents PGA Tour average. And the fact that we're using that scale of 0 to 200 enables us to build in lots of different benchmarks to that scale, such as LPGA Tour average, which would sit around 92, and other levels of golf at 2. And now shot quality, which you're seeing here within our Clip scorecard, is the foundational metric we're using throughout the platform. But you might at this point be asking, why aren't we using traditional metrics like strokes gained in our platform? And now if I just quickly share another screen, I'm going to talk to that. Hopefully everybody can now see these slides. And if I just move the zoom out the way. Now, strokes gained has become the gold standard at the tour level when it comes to understanding performance in golf. But again, working in collaboration with our group of players and instructors, we've heard that it's not necessarily the easiest metric to apply to your everyday golfer. And Professor Mark Brody himself even admits that strokes gained does sometimes miss out some of the key context of the game. And as a result, it doesn't always convey the true difficulty of a shot and therefore the quality of the outcome. And so what shot quality does, our metric, it fills that gap by looking at the complete context surrounding a shot. Those contexts are the lie and the distance to the target or to the hole, like strokes gained. But what we do is go a step further. We're looking at the weather for that exact moment in time using a global database. We're looking at the difficulty of that course and the conditions of so. And by doing so, we get a really strong understanding of the difficulty of every single shot that a player hits. And so here we've got an example of the same hole. It's the par 4 18th at Sunningdale, just outside of London. However, we're looking at this hole on 2 very different days. On the left-hand side, we see it's in the summer. The sun's shining, it's warm, and there's a light wind. However, on the right-hand side, we're looking at the same hole in the winter. It's freezing cold, there's a lot of rain, and there's a howling gale. Now, in this example that I'm using, the same player hits the same drive just on these 2 very different days of the year. And those drives, they finish in exactly the same spot in the fairway. Now, through the lens of strokes gained, these 2 shots are identical, and therefore they're given the same value of plus 0.16 strokes gained. However, as instructors, as golfers, we all know that the shot on the right in the tougher conditions where it was raining, freezing cold and windy, that was far harder to pull off and therefore required more skill. And so what we're doing within Clipped by using shot quality is we're looking at all of those different factors around the golf shot. And as a result, we can score shots more appropriately. The drive on the left-hand side in the finer weather, that only scores 109 for shot quality. Whereas on the right-hand side, by taking into account all of those other factors, the cold, the wind, and the rain, we're able to reward that drive 117. And remembering that quality is being represented on that scale of 0 to 200, where 100 represents PGA Tour standard right in the middle. And now by understanding the quality of individual shots, we can actually roll them up to represent the skill level of an individual player. And that brings us to our second metric, which we use within Clipped, which is player quality. Now, as it states here, player quality, it gives us a view on an individual skill. And we're representing player quality on that same universal scale of 0 to 200, where 100 represents PGA Tour average. And we can actually see here how each of the shots that Dustin Johnson has hit in the past roll up to give us a really good understanding of his skill area, both in the different parts of his game, from his off the tee through to his approach around the green and putting, but also how each of those 4 different areas can be pulled together to give us a really strong understanding of what Dustin's total player quality would sit in the platform. And now, with that stuff explained, hopefully I haven't lost anyone there, but I'm going to dive straight back into the platform itself. And hopefully, with that explained, all of the numbers which you were seeing before will start to make a bit more sense. Now, from this scorecard view, we'll just zoom out and we'll go to a slightly higher level view. And I think the best place to start for today's tutorial would be the team dashboard. And now what we've done with the team dashboard, hearing from instructors and coaches over the past year or so, is we've brought all of the different players that an instructor is working with into one place. For a number of reasons, we just hear by having everybody in one place would be game changing for a coach. And so within the team dashboard, we've got a few different lenses which the coach and the instructor can choose from. Right now, you'll see that total player quality number is given to each of the players within the platform. And we can see how that breaks down into the different parts of their game, from off the tee all the way through to their putting, like we saw with Dustin Johnson. And a few other angles which we're showing within the platform can be seen just underneath here. Straight away, we'll be showing the instructor all of the activities, both on and off the golf course, that their players have been completing over the last month. In the darker shade, we've got all of that on-course activity, like rounds of golf, whether they be tournament or practice. And in the lighter shade, we've got everything that a golfer is getting up to away from the golf course. That might be a session on TrackMan. That might be something they've been doing in the gym. And what we're trying to do is make it really easy for both the player, but also for the instructor to bring those different types of activity into the platform. If a player was to record a lesson that they have with their instructor, they'd be able to choose the lesson type, give it a title nice and easily, and actually start to record some of the notes that they were feeling from that lesson. So they can go back in time and really easily understand what they've been working on in the past. And by using simple tagging functionality, we're making it really easy for players to do that, to go back in time and find that important information. And as you'll see, as I dive into Corey's platform later on, we're starting to incorporate media like swing videos and photos to make everything nice and visual for the player as well. But I'll come to that in a couple of minutes' time. From this view, we've got a few different options that the instructor can go in. What player quality lends us to do really nicely and really easily is actually track the progression of a player over time. And so here, by clicking into this second view, we're showing the instructor the heat map. This, again, is all of the different players that an instructor is working with. However, we've used a traffic light system to straight away show the instructor how each of their players are trending, both at the very top level of their game, looking at their game as one, but also in the different parts of their game, from, again, off the tee all the way through to their putting. Now here, the stronger the color indicates the stronger the trend. And where it's dark green, that's where the story is very positive. The player is improving rapidly in that part of their game. However, on the other side of the scale, we feel it's important for the instructor to see where they need to step in. And in this example of Drew Baker, we can see that off the tee, he's actually trending dramatically in the wrong direction. And so for this example, the coach, the instructor might want to intervene here and suggest maybe getting onto the lesson tee and trying to work on that. Again, we've got a few different lenses which the instructor will be able to choose from in this team heat map view. They might be looking at the last 5 rounds that Drew's played, but they also might want to see what it looks like from a kind of higher view. And you'll be able to do that all through the team dashboard. And so to summarize, this is the really high level view, looking at all of the different players that an instructor is working with. But what you might want to do is zero in on a single player, and you'll be able to do so by clicking onto that individual player's card. And what that does, it takes us into the player dashboard. And now this is the screen that all of the players with using Clipped will see when they first open the app up. And they might open it up on their phone, which is what the majority of our beta players like to do. But then also the instructor, the coach, might prefer to use Clipped on their iPad or even on a desktop. And our goal from this first screen here is to give a player a snapshot of where their game is at this point in time. And again, we're following this theme of player quality and using these colored rings to show their total player quality and where it's at this point in time, but then also using the yellow ring to show their off the tee performance, the green ring to show their approach, the red for their around the green, and then also the purple for their putting. And hopefully straight away, it's really clear that in this example of Corey Patton, the strongest part of Corey's game right now, based on the data we've got, is actually his putting, followed closely behind by his approach play. Now, as we move further down the screen here, we've got a few different, again, angles which will be showing the player. What to work on is something I'm going to come to later on, but I think a great place to start would be this idea of tracking a player's progress over time. And as Dan talked to you earlier, within the platform, we're using trend lines to really convey the progress of a player, just so that the instructor can maybe show that to the player to encourage them, but they can also show maybe the player's parents or other coaches. And again, we can do this at the total player level, seeing how their player quality has evolved over the past 12 months. But we can also click into the particular different parts of their game. And here we're focusing just on Corey's approach game and seeing how that has changed over the past 12 months, but also starting to understand which part of Corey's approach game is he strongest and which part is he weakest. And so again, this is quite high level stuff, but we feel it's quite powerful for the player to be able to go straight into their Clipped account and really quickly get an understanding of where their strengths and weaknesses lie. Now, coming back to the top here, I think the best place to go next would be the activity feed. And it's this feed that leads into the scorecard view, which is where I started earlier on. And our idea with the activity feed is bringing all of the different activities that a player is completing into one place, both for their own benefit, but also for the instructor to be able to keep tabs on a player. Now, as you can see with this example of Corey's activity feed, we're not just looking at tournament rounds of golf, we're also looking at practice rounds of golf. And then away from the golf course, we're able to look at maybe a swing catalyst session we can see that Corey completed with his coach. And by clicking into that, you can see the full media. On the other side of things, we've also got some of Corey's TrackMan data in here, and maybe even really simply just a video from a chipping lesson that Corey had with his coach. For today's example, I'm going to dive back into that round of golf where we started. And again, the Clipped scorecard is all about painting the picture for the coach and giving them a really good idea of how the player made their way around the golf course. And the idea is by clicking into each of these holes with this view on the right-hand side here, we're using shot quality to give the instructor a really good understanding of where the top shots were, which led to those birdies. And in this example, we can see that the drive off the tee scored 117, and it was actually a very impressive putt, hold from 15 foot, which scored 174. But we can also start to look at some of the worst holes and understand what led to the bogeys. And again, from this view, should you want to, the instructor can go even deeper, but this might be enough. And so for those real performance-minded coaches and instructors, with those more serious players, they'll be able to dive into the Round Insights tab. And as you can see, there's a lot of information here, but we're trying to keep things fun and encouraging for the players. So we'll be able to show them their best 3 shots in terms of shot quality, as well as being more constructive and showing them their worst 3 shots. And moving to the bottom of the screen here, we can also show the breakdown into the different parts of their game, again, just for this round of golf, from their off the tee all the way through to their putting performance. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail there because it would be good for everyone to explore this a bit later on. But hopefully everybody gets the idea of how deep we can go within the platform, but also how high level and how simple we can keep things. And talking of keeping things simple, I think where we've tried to keep things really simple and really clear and easy for the player is this new what to work on feature. And so when a player is on their phone and using Clipped, if they were to click in to what to work on, what they'd see straight away is this list along the left-hand side here. And we're really trying to make life as easy as possible for the player. And this list is our view of all the different parts of their game, which we believe, based on the data, they need to be focusing on. And the way we generate this list is threefold. The first thing we're looking at is the importance that each part of a player's game actually has to their scoring. So in the example of Corey, on the days where Corey's shooting really low and playing really well, what is it that's driving that? Well, from this pie chart, this visual in the top left-hand corner here, we can actually see that based on all the data we have on Corey as a player, we can see his approach play is really high in terms of its importance for Corey to score well. And just behind that, we can also see that his putting makes up for 33% of the importance as well. So straight away, as the instructor, we can see and we can take that into the next lesson. and think, okay, well, today we're going to work on the most important parts of Corey's game because we know they're critical for him to score well. But that's not the only thing we're looking at when generating this list. The second thing we're looking at is the opportunity for Corey to improve in each particular part of his game. So if we take Corey's putting from 8 to 15 foot as an example, to understand the opportunity for Corey to improve, we're going to look at how good he's been in the past and actually measure how far he is away from that level today. And by understanding that gap and identifying that gap, we can work out what opportunity there is for him to improve in that particular part of his game. And so that's the second thing we're looking at. And the third thing we're looking at, keeping things really simple, is Corey getting better in this part of his game, or is he getting worse? And we can identify that by looking at his shot quality and whether it's going in the right direction or the wrong direction. And by looking at all of those three different factors in unison, we generate this list. And we do all the heavy lifting and the groundwork for the player. For them, it's as simple as opening their phone up and seeing this really simple list along the left-hand side here. And as you can see along the right-hand side here, should you be looking at it in the desktop or an iPad, we start to give a bit more information, which might be more suitable for the coach. But it's important to keep things simple for the player. And that's what we're trying to do with this list. Corey might be on the practice range for one day, and he might decide he needs to work on his approach play. And by clicking approach, he'll be able to do so. Alternatively, he might be on the putting green. And by simply clicking putting, he can see all of the different distances that he needs to be working from. Now, I think that's a great place to leave things for today's demo, unless Dan would like for me to take you through anything else. But Dan, have you got any thoughts off the back of that? And just bearing in mind you're on mute at the moment.
Mute myself. Sorry about that. Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to really say that, we're at the beginning of a very exciting journey. We're working with some amazing players and instructors and coaches and facilities. We've built a platform that can pull in data from multiple sources. We're already integrated with multiple data partners, and our goal is to bring every one of golf's major technologies into Clipped, ensuring that you as the instructor get the maximum return on investment from whatever hardware or technology that you use. We believe that Clipped can be a huge benefit to you and your business. Why? Because the platform has been built to do just that. We've set out to solve the problems that instructors and teaching professionals have told us about over the last 18 months, and to recap on some of the benefits that we really truly believe Clipped can give you. One, Clipped shows all your players' golf activity in one platform, as Charlie has just shared. Clipped enables you to immediately understand each player. Clipped helps you to stay connected with your players and drives your ability to increase revenues. Clipped gives you personalized, data-driven support for your teaching. And Clipped delivers you the maximum value from the technology you use and the technologies your players use. And finally, a sort of reminder, I suppose, of what we're setting out to achieve. We want to help golfers to get better faster and therefore to enjoy and play the game more. We want to show golfers the benefits of a connected game wherever they play. And through our metrics and features like shot quality, player quality, round insights, and what to work on, we want to redefine how we talk about and understand skill and how we go about getting better at the game we all love. So, thank you very much for your time. Do you have any questions? We'd be very happy to answer them.
I just unmuted myself. This is Zachary. If you have a second.
Hi, Zachary.
Hi, I'm the director of instruction with Golf Tech in Edina, Minnesota here, and we have, this is awesome information, and I'd be interested in how does it work for an average student who has a goal of, say, breaking 100 for those metrics and how it's presented to them on what to work on? Do you guys have your ability to have those score goals implemented in there?
Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, we're trying to make things as simple and easy for golfers as possible. And right now, the platform is quite performance focused, but we're developing a capture tool, which is to be released in a few weeks' time, which is going to make it really easy for golfers of any level, of any standard, to record on-course data. And that will be able to be accessed through the Clipped app by simply selecting to record an activity or a round of golf. But in terms of actually feeding that data back in a nice visual format, we're in, as Dan says, a long lasting process of building new functionalities and new features into the platform. That might be leaderboards, that might be other gamified features, but ultimately we're building this for golfers of any standard to use. And so whilst we will be using player quality as the foundation for all of our analysis, and we'll be looking for all of our users to engage with shot quality, what we'll be able to do with these different metrics is actually build in more attainable standards, maybe below the PGA Tour standard, if a player wants to just compare themselves to something more attainable.
So, yeah, I mean, player quality, it's a really good question. I mean, 100 is the PGA Tour standard. 80 would be probably around a 10 handicap. Early 90s would be around scratch or a plus handicap. I think what we've really heard from so many players and instructors, Zachary, is the importance of positive affirmation, to be able to give players and coaches the signs of progress. You know, we all know that, you know, you can play quite well and come off the course with a scorecard that doesn't bear any relation to the way you feel like you've hit it. But actually Clipped allows you to, you know, see the stuff that you've done well, and actually, you know, it can really change narratives around the game. So, you know, while, as Charlie said, what we've built has been really tailored to, I suppose, a higher performance level of the game, it is absolutely, Clipped is absolutely designed to, you know, work with all golfers. You know, they might not get to, I certainly am not going to get to 100 in player quality anytime in my lifetime, but actually the positive affirmation of being able to see my graph move in the right direction, and, you know, as we all know, it goes in the wrong direction at times as well, is hugely engaging in terms of, you know, keeping me connected with my own game, changing narratives about how I play, and also, you know, really sort of giving me clarity in terms of what I should be working on. And you know, even with sort of course strategy, when it comes to, you know, a student of yours wanting to make that all important step of beating 100, they know that, you know, that they are really struggling at this part of their game. There's ways and means of actually managing your game to achieve those goals. But, you know, the positive affirmation thing is something we've had an enormously positive feedback on, and it's remarkable how what we're able to show players does sort of change narratives about, you know, their own narratives about their own game. And that's why I think it's going to be incredibly powerful for players at all levels.
What I believe I saw that Arcos was the way that you guys are, the hardware that you're using to track the data.
So yeah, that's one of the first technologies we're using for our beta users to get their data into the platform. But as I said before, we're really trying to give the players as many different options as they need. So within the platform, the user will be able to record their own data straight through the app. But ultimately, we're trying to drive engagement towards these different technologies like Arcos, like Garmin, because ultimately they're the future. So
we've already integrated PGA Tour ShotLink data, the IMG Arena data from the DP World Tour, Arcos, TrackMan, and on-course data capture apps such as Golf Stats Lab and Measured Practice. And you can also add practice drills through the Clipped micro capture app, which is already in existence. So you can actually feed in practice drills that then feed into your, you know, that give shot quality and then feed into your player quality, obviously at a much lower level than a tournament round might. So, you know, we're in talks. We've built the platform. It's able to integrate all these technologies, and we're having very positive discussions with all the major technology players within the golf space at the moment. I mean, as Charlie said, our goal really is to allow golfers to capitalize and get the most value from the connected game, because it's sort of become a connected game without any of us really noticing.
Yeah, it sure has. Well, gentlemen, that answers my questions. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks very much,
Zachary. And off the back of today's call, should you or Sarah be interested, we'd like to set you up with demo accounts so you could have a play with the platform yourself, and maybe we can catch up at a later date to get some of your feedback.
Sounds cool.
Perfect. Great. Well, Catherine, I think that's all from us today. Unless Sarah's got any questions.
No, I was just going to say thank you. And I would love to just follow up with a demo or some sort of, I had the same question Zachary had, that most of my players are trying to break 100. So
yeah,
it would be nice if it incorporated for those kind of golfers. So yeah, love to follow up.
Definitely. Great. Thanks very much, Sarah.
Thanks very much for your time attending. We're really looking forward to, we'll get a demo platform to you very soon. And it would be great, as Charlie said, to get your feedback. But just to reiterate, Clipped has been built for golfers of all standards. And I really believe that players at the very top level of the game to players who are trying to beat 100 for the first time are going to get a lot out of it, and instructors too.
Perfect.
Thanks very much for your time, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.